It might have seemed like Julie Shea's illustrious collegiate career at North Carolina State was on repeat, but in the best way possible. In 1980, the Wolfpack's distance standout was named ACC Athlete of the Year, becoming the first woman in the history of the conference to claim the award. Then she did it again for the second year in a row, beating out the likes of Lawrence Taylor and Ralph Sampson. But hey, that's what happens when you win 7 collegiate distance titles during your record-setting career. The first female collegian to ever achieve this lofty feat. Throw in a historic distance triple as well as a collegiate record, and North Carolina State's Julie Shea is a Hall of Famer. Here she is, Julie Shea, who went to North Carolina State, but when we were talking last night and I said, tell me what one of the most memorable experiences you had in running, and you immediately came to Hayward Field and the heritage here and the history here. Share that story, because it was really a pulse-pounding story.
I had never been to Oregon before, and when I got here for nationals in 1980, I was a junior at NC State. I was amazed at how familiar it seemed. It was like, wow, this is almost like home, you know, the greenness of it. And my coach, Jack Batchelor, a 3-time Olympian, had competed at Hayward Field, and he said, you know, you'll be surprised. Just you know, believe me. You know, so I believed him that time. And he went to the coaches meeting, and my sister Mary, we trained together, pretty inseparable in our college years. He entered us in all 3 distance events, the 10,000, the 5,000, and the 3,000. And they were scheduled to begin each race within, well, all 3 of them within 24 hours. And I was so upset with him. I was like, you know, we worked so hard, and then, you know, I knew by the 3,000 meter, the 3rd event, that I would just be dead on my feet. And he said, well, you gotta do it, because they almost threatened me at the coaches meeting and said that if Mary or Julie didn't finish all 3, then they were gonna DQ us altogether. And so I was like, oh, good. And anyway, he actually did keep things lighthearted and fun. He was very quick-witted, a brilliant man. And no matter where I was on the track, you know, with the crowd cheering loudly and all, I could always hear his calm voice. You know, pick it up a couple seconds, you know, you and Mary are slacking off, you know, it'd be funny, you know, and you'd have to laugh, and he always had a ready laugh. And so we ran the 10,000 meter in the pouring rain, and I was first, my sister was second, right behind me, and there was strength there to have your sister right there on your shoulder. You know, we were plotting and planning the whole way, and you know, she wanted the very best for me, and I wanted the very best for her, and that was just calming, and it just made you race standing up a little taller, knowing that you were there for each other. And then we ran the 5,000 meters, and in between the races, we just slept and ate, and we just holed up in our hotel room. So we ran the 5,000 meters, and my arch rival, Margaret Gross from Tennessee, was in the lead, and it was probably about 3/4 mile to go, and I was so tired. And I started gaining on her, and then the folks in the grandstand, the old wooden grandstand, started stomping their feet in time with my stride, and I caught on. I was like, wow, they're doing that for me. And I'd only been to track meets where it was just like family members, maybe a few friends, classmates show up, and I just ran out of my mind. And it was thunderous, and ended up winning the 5, and then they pulled me through the 3,000 too. And I met Yvonne and her husband just before we began this event tonight, and they said they were there. you know, in 1980, and they said, we don't miss a race here at Hayward Field. And every time I come up here, I'm excited. I just feel this pull in my heartstrings. It's like, you know, I love Eugene. Hayward Field will always be a special place to me, and it's fantastic, the new stadium they have. So I hope they continue to fill the stadium for years to come. It's a very special place, and it truly is the track capital of the world.
There you go. When we talked earlier today, you said Coach was going to be watching, and what message, aside from that you tried to run you into the ground that day, what message would you like to give him?
Well, Jack, like I said, Jack was a 3-time Olympian, and he truly cared. There was a lot of mutual respect, which is so important between your coach and your athlete. And to this day, he's a very dear friend, and just say, Jack, thank you for being there for Mary and I and for all the NC State women. He really did elevate our running, and he cared. And how many times do you have a 3-time Olympian truly caring about how you race, you know, a dual meet, you know, 3K, you know, 5K. And it did. It made us feel special and important. And he's a very giving, unassuming man who really helped a lot of runners over time.
Something else that you brought up earlier today that stuck with me was when you talked about the people that gave you the little encouragements along the way. What did you mean by that?
Well, I also ran to school every day in high school, and there were women waiting for the bus, housekeepers, and you know, they were always encouraging, and they'd be waiting for the bus, and they'd say, you go, girl, you got it, pick up the pace. You know, they say this little bit of encouragement, and when we came back from cross-country nationals, we won a couple cross-country titles, our professors showed up at the airport, and we never had a little small mob scene there at the airport before, so that was really cool. And some of the hot spots around the perimeters of campus where we go to party, you know, they'd get on the microphone and announce that the NC State women's team had won. And one time, Catfish Hunter, a pitcher from way back when, was on the same flight as we were, and he sent us champagne back, you know. And so yeah, little things like that, kind of over a career, just are happy, cherished memories for me now.
She's the most decorated athlete in North Carolina state history. I don't mean just female athlete. I mean male or female. Julie Shea, Hall of Famer.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.